Welcome to our deep dive
Okay.
into Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be kind of exploring excerpts from this really powerful,
Yeah.
albeit bleak, post-apocalyptic novel.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to really extract
Okay.
the essence of the story,
Right.
the themes, the emotional impact,
Yeah.
without getting too bogged down in the
Right.
graphic details.
Yeah, it's one that really stays with you. McCarthy really balances the brutality of that world with these moments of profound beauty and humanity.
Yeah. Let's start with the setting.
Okay.
I mean, the world McCarthy creates is just desolate. Ash covers everything,
Yeah.
resources are scarce, and danger is a constant.
Mm.
What struck you about his world building?
Well, I think the ambiguity surrounding the apocalypse is what I find so chilling. Because McCarthy never explicitly explains what happened.
Right.
Which makes it feel all the more real and all the more unsettling.
Right.
It can be any number of disasters.
Yeah.
And that uncertainty really gets under your skin.
Yeah, it forces you to confront the fragility of our own world.
Totally.
Now into this desolate world,
Right.
we're introduced to a father and a son
Right.
making their way south.
Mm-hmm.
Their bond is really the heart of this story.
Absolutely. Their love for each other is just this beacon in this darkness.
Right.
And the father's constantly trying to shield the son from the horrors.
Yeah.
But he also has to prepare him for the realities of their existence.
Yeah.
It's a constant heartbreaking balancing act.
And then there's this recurring motif of carrying the fire.
Right.
It's more than just staying alive, right?
Exactly. It's the essence of their humanity. Fire provides warmth, light, protection.
Right.
Everything they lack in this world.
Yeah.
But it's also symbolic of knowledge, of passing down
Right.
that flame of civilization to the next generation.
Their journey south is fraught with danger.
Oh, yeah.
They encounter cannibals, thieves,
Yeah.
and face the constant threat of starvation. But there are also these glimmers of hope,
Right.
these moments of beauty that really stand out, like when they find that unopened bottle of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, what's fascinating about that scene is how it highlights the enduring power of simple joys, even in the bleakest circumstances.
Right.
It's a reminder that even amidst despair,
Yeah.
there are still things worth celebrating, these moments of pure childlike wonder.
Or their encounter with the old man on the road.
Oh, yeah.
The father is initially wary,
Right.
but they end up sharing a brief connection.
Yeah, that scene to me speaks volumes about the complexities of trust and connection in this shattered world.
Yeah.
Can you afford to be kind to risk opening yourself up to another person when survival is paramount?
Yeah.
McCarthy doesn't offer any easy answers.
There's a constant tension between pragmatism and compassion.
Right.
Should they help others even if it puts them at risk? Can they afford to be kind?
It's a dilemma we see played out throughout the story.
Right.
And it forces us as readers to confront our own beliefs about what it means to be good in a world gone mad.
The novel also uses some really striking imagery.
Oh, yeah.
The descriptions of the burned landscapes, the skeletal remains of trees, the ever-present ash.
Right.
It all creates this incredibly visceral sense of desolation.
Yeah.
But then there are these moments of stark beauty, like their discovery of the waterfall.
That scene is so powerful.
Yeah.
The waterfall cascading into this pool of icy water
Right?
is both beautiful and dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of the power and indifference of nature, a force that exists beyond the scope of human suffering.
And it contrasts so starkly with the horrors they've witnessed.
Yeah.
The bunker filled with supplies.
Right.
And then the horrifying discovery inside that abandoned trailer.
Yeah, it really makes you question the nature of humanity.
Right.
What does it mean to be good in a world where survival often comes at the cost of another's life?
It ties back to that idea of carrying the fire. Is it even possible to maintain one's humanity in the face of such overwhelming darkness?
McCarthy doesn't offer simple answers.
Right.
He wants us to grapple with these complexities, to confront the darkness, and search for meaning in a world that often feels meaningless.
And speaking of complexities, the novel's ending is as thought-provoking as it is ambiguous. The father, weakened by illness, ultimately dies.
Right.
But the boy finds refuge with another family.
It's left open to interpretation whether there's truly hope for the boy,
Yeah.
whether this new family will provide him with the love and security he needs.
Right.
But what's striking is that cyclical imagery. The boy with the new family mirroring the father and son at the beginning.
Right.
It suggests that even in this broken world, life in some form goes on.
So far, we've talked a lot about the father.
Okay.
Let's shift our focus to the boy for a bit.
Right.
What stood out to you about his character?
Well, he's witnessed so much horror,
Right.
but still seems to cling to a certain innocence.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen so much.
Yeah.
But he still seems to have this hope, this goodness about him.
The boy represents this glimmer of hope in this desolate world.
Yeah.
He hasn't been completely hardened by the horrors he's seen. He still has a capacity for empathy, for kindness, that his father desperately tries to protect.
Like when he wants to help the old man on the road.
Exactly.
Even though his father is hesitant.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, compassion can still exist.
Right.
Especially in those who haven't yet been fully broken by the world.
The boy's innocence also raises questions about the nature of good and evil.
Right.
He hasn't been corrupted by the world in the same way as some of the other characters. He seems to have this innate sense of morality.
It makes you wonder if morality is something we're born with or something we learn.
Right.
Is it something that can be eroded by the circumstances we face?
Yeah.
Or is there a core of goodness that remains even in the face of unimaginable horror?
It's interesting to contrast the boy's innocence with his father's pragmatism.
Yeah.
The father has had to make difficult choices. Choices that have at times compromised his own morals.
The father's pragmatism is a product of the world they live in.
Right.
He understands that survival often requires making difficult choices.
Yeah.
Choices that might seem cruel or even evil.
Right.
But he also recognizes the importance of preserving his son's innocence.
Right.
Of shielding him from the worst of humanity.
It's a fascinating dynamic.
It is.
The boy's innocence challenges the father's pragmatism, reminding him of the importance of holding on to hope and compassion, even in the bleakest of circumstances.
And it highlights the complexities of parenting in such a world.
Right.
How do you protect your child from the horrors
while
also preparing them for the realities they face?
Right.
How do you teach them to be kind and compassionate when survival often demands ruthlessness?
It's a question that resonates with any parent. Even those of us who aren't facing a post-apocalyptic world.
Absolutely.
We're constantly trying to balance protecting our children with preparing them for the challenges of life.
And the road takes that struggle to the extreme, forcing us to confront the most fundamental questions about what it means to be human, to be a parent, to love and be loved in a world stripped bare.
We've talked a lot about the setting and the characters.
Okay.
Let's delve into some of the major themes that run throughout the road.
Right.
What struck you as the most prominent themes?
Well, there are several that are deeply intertwined, but I think love and hope in the face of despair stand out the most. Even in this brutal world, love persists.
Right.
The father's love for his son is his driving force.
Right.
It's what keeps him going.
Yeah.
What gives him a reason to carry the fire.
And it's not just romantic love.
Right.
It's the love between a father and a son.
Exactly.
A bond that transcends the horrors surrounding them.
And intertwined with love is hope.
Right.
It's a fragile thing in this world.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's in the father's determination to protect his son.
Right.
In the boy's innocent belief in goodness.
Yeah.
It's in the small acts of kindness they encounter along the way.
Those small acts of kindness really are powerful.
They are.
They remind us that even in the darkest of times, humanity can still shine through.
And they suggest that hope, like the fire they carry, can be passed from one person to another, providing warmth and light in a world shrouded in darkness.
Another major theme is the nature of humanity.
Yeah.
McCarthy really forces us to confront the best and worst of what humans are capable of.
Right.
We see the depravity of the cannibals, the desperation of the thieves, but also the kindness of those who offer help, however fleeting.
What's so compelling is that he doesn't present these characters as simply good or evil.
Right.
They're complex, driven by a mix of motivations, often making choices born out of desperation and fear.
And it makes you wonder, if we were in their shoes, would we be any different? Would we be able to hold on to our humanity, or would we succumb to the darkness?
It's a question McCarthy wants us to ask ourselves.
Right.
He's not offering answers, but rather inviting us to grapple with the complexities of human nature in extreme circumstances.
And to consider what it truly means to carry the fire in a world where hope itself seems to be dying.
Exactly. The novel is a challenge,
right.
a provocation, forcing us to confront our own beliefs about what it means to be human and what we would be willing to sacrifice for those we love.
And now let's talk about McCarthy's writing style.
Okay.
It's so stark, so stripped down, yet incredibly evocative.
Yeah.
It feels like he's using language to paint a picture of a world that's both familiar and utterly alien.
He has this incredible ability to convey so much with so few words.
Right.
The silences, the unspoken fears, the stark beauty of the landscapes. It all resonates more deeply because of what's left unsaid.
And those silences often speak louder than words, don't they?
They do.
They force you to fill in the blanks, to confront the emptiness left behind by the collapse of civilization.
Exactly. It's a powerful technique.
Yeah.
He's not spoon-feeding us the story.
Right.
He's inviting us to participate in its creation, to imagine the horrors that lurk just beyond the page.
And within that emptiness, the father and son's relationship shines even brighter.
Right.
Their love for each other is the one constant in this ever-shifting world, the one thing that gives their lives meaning. But even that love is tested at every turn.
Oh, yeah.
The father has to make impossible choices to compromise his own values in order to protect his son.
Like when he steals from the thief who stole from them.
Right. It's a morally ambiguous moment.
Yeah, it is.
But it underscores the lengths he'll go to to ensure his son's survival. And it raises a question that runs throughout the novel.
Right.
What are the limits of morality in a world where survival is paramount?
It's a question with no easy answers.
Right.
And McCarthy doesn't shy away from its complexity.
No, he doesn't.
He forces us to confront the gray areas, to acknowledge that even the best of intentions can lead to morally questionable actions in extreme situations.
We've talked about the characters, the themes, the writing style.
Okay.
But one thing we haven't mentioned yet is the absence of names.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
The father and son are simply referred to as the man and the boy.
Right.
Even the other characters are nameless.
Yeah.
What do you make of this choice?
I think it adds to the universality of their story.
Okay.
It could be anyone's story. A reminder that we're all vulnerable to the forces that shape our world.
Right.
It's a father and a son trying to survive in a world that has been stripped bare.
Yeah.
Their names become irrelevant
in
the face of such fundamental human experiences.
And it strips away any sense of individuality, highlighting the primal bond between them.
Yeah, it's not about who they are, but about what they represent.
Exactly.
The enduring power of love and kinship in the face of unimaginable loss.
It's also a powerful reminder that in a world stripped of everything else, our relationships are what truly matter.
Yeah.
They are what define us, what give our lives meaning. And they are what we fight for, even when all hope seems lost.
It's a message that resonates deeply, especially in today's world where we're bombarded with news of conflict, division, and environmental destruction.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the darkness, to lose sight of what's truly important. But the road reminds us that even in the bleakest of times, there's still a reason to keep fighting, to keep believing in the possibility of a brighter future.
And to never give up on those we love.
Right.
Their love is a beacon in the darkness.
Yeah.
A testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Speaking of darkness, one of the most striking things about The Road is how McCarthy creates such a vivid and terrifying world using such spare prose.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that minimalism actually heightens the emotional impact of the story.
It does.
The silences, the unspoken fears, the stark beauty of the landscapes, it all resonates more deeply because of what's left unsaid.
It's like he's forcing us to confront the emptiness, the void left behind by the collapse of civilization.
Right.
And within that void, the father and son's relationship shines even brighter.
Right. Their love isn't just a source of comfort. It's a defiant act in the face of despair.
It is.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, humanity can endure
and
find meaning and purpose.
And even though the world around them is crumbling, they still choose to love, to connect, to find beauty in the smallest of things.
It's a powerful message that transcends the post-apocalyptic setting.
It is.
And speaks to the core of what it means to be human.
Right.
But let's be honest, it's also a very challenging read.
Oh, yeah, it is.
The novel doesn't shy away from the brutality of their world.
No.
From the darkness that exists within humanity.
You're right. It's not a comfortable read.
Yeah.
It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about the choices we might make in extreme circumstances.
Right.
But I think that's part of what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't sugarcoat the realities of human nature.
It's an unflinching look at what we're capable of, both the good and the bad.
Yeah, it is. And it's in that unflinching honesty that we find a strange kind of beauty. The beauty of resilience of the human spirit refusing to be extinguished, even when surrounded by darkness.
That resilience really is remarkable. And it makes me think about something else that we see a lot of in the novel, the power of memory.
Oh, yeah.
The father clings to memories of his wife of the world before and shares those memories with his son. It's almost like a lifeline for him.
It's more than just nostalgia. Those memories are a way of holding on to his identity, his humanity, in a world where everything familiar has been stripped away.
And by sharing them with his son, he's not just passing on stories, he's passing on a legacy, a sense of belonging to something larger than themselves.
Exactly. It's about preserving a history, however fragmented, for the next generation. It's about keeping that flame of civilization flickering even in the face of oblivion. It's a powerful testament to the human need for connection, for continuity.
It's like their shared memories become this currency, something precious they hold on to in a world where everything else has been lost.
Precisely. And those memories, those stories become even more vital as the father's health deteriorates. He knows he won't be there to protect his son forever, so he tries to equip him with the knowledge, the values, that fire that will help him survive.
It's heartbreaking knowing he's essentially preparing his son to face the world alone.
But it's also profoundly moving. It speaks to the depth of his love, his willingness to do whatever it takes to ensure his son's survival, even if it means letting go.
And it raises the question, what happens to the boy after his father is gone? Does he manage to carry the fire?
Well, the novel offers a glimmer of hope in the form of the family that takes him in. But it's deliberately ambiguous.
Right.
We don't know if they're truly good or if they'll be able to provide the boy with the love and security he needs.
It's almost as if McCarthy is leaving it up to us, the readers, to decide what happens next, to imagine the possibilities, both hopeful and bleak.
And that ambiguity is part of what makes the novel so powerful. It stays with you long after you've finished reading, prompting you to reflect on the choices we make, the bonds we forge, and what it means to be human in the face of unimaginable challenges.
You know, it's interesting to think about how this novel, written back in 2006, resonates even more strongly today in a world grappling with climate change, pandemics, and political turmoil.
Absolutely. It taps into our deepest fears about the fragility of civilization, the potential for humanity to descend into chaos.
But it also speaks to our enduring capacity for love, compassion, and resilience.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always a flicker of hope, a possibility for redemption. It challenges us to ask ourselves, what would we do to carry the fire? What sacrifices would we make to protect those we love?
Those are heavy questions, but essential ones. McCarthy's novel doesn't provide easy answers, but it forces us to confront the darkness and search for meaning in a world that often feels meaningless.
And that search for meaning, that struggle to hold on to hope, is ultimately what makes us human. It's what drives us to connect with each other, to create, to love, even when everything seems lost.
You know, one of the things that I find so fascinating about The Road is how McCarthy portrays the whole spectrum of human behavior in this post-apocalyptic world. You see everything from the depths of depravity represented by the cannibals to the quiet dignity of the father and son clinging to their humanity.
And there's so many shades of gray in between, like the thief who steals their cart but ultimately evokes a flicker of compassion from the boy.
It's a reminder that even in extreme circumstances, people are complex. Their actions are often driven by a combination of desperation, fear, and sometimes a surprising capacity for kindness.
It's like McCarthy is saying that there's no simple binary of good and evil, even in a world as bleak as this. People are capable of both incredible cruelty and remarkable acts of selflessness.
And those acts of selflessness, those moments of connection, however fleeting, are what make the story so powerful. They shine a light in the darkness, reminding us that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, humanity can endure.
One of the things that really stood out to me about the excerpts is how McCarthy uses sensory details to fully immerse us in this post-apocalyptic world.
Oh, you're so right. He doesn't just tell us it's desolate. He makes us feel the chill in the air, smell the ash, hear the silence.
Precisely. For example, when they discover the waterfall, he describes the gray shroud of mist, the cold coming off of it, the clattering of stones.
It's like you're right there with them experiencing the beauty and danger of that moment.
Or the scene in the abandoned house with the trapdoor leading to the Sister McCarthy. describes the sour smell he'd come to know, the faint whooshing as he drops the burning paper.
The way he writes about these mundane details makes the story so much more visceral and haunting.
It's like he's using language to paint a picture of a world that's both familiar and utterly alien. A world where even the simplest acts of survival are fraught with danger.
And that sense of danger is heightened by the fact that we never really know what caused this apocalypse. The ambiguity keeps us on edge, constantly wondering what horrors might lurk around the next corner.
That uncertainty is a powerful tool. It forces us to fill in the blanks, to imagine the possibilities, which can be even more terrifying than any concrete explanation.
It's interesting, isn't it, to contrast the detailed descriptions of the physical world with the ambiguity surrounding the cause of the apocalypse.
It's as if McCarthy is suggesting that the details of the disaster itself are less important than the impact it has on human behavior, on the choices we make and the bonds we forge in the face of adversity.
Exactly. It's not about what happened, but about how we respond to it, how we navigate a world stripped of its familiar comforts and certainties.
And that navigation is a constant struggle. The father and son face physical challenges, of course, but also moral dilemmas that would test even the most hardened survivor.
Like their encounter with the cannibals. The father has to decide whether to kill them to protect his son, even though it goes against his own moral code.
Or the decision to leave the old man behind. It's a pragmatic choice, but it weighs heavily on both the father and the son.
It's like every step of their journey is a test, forcing them to confront their own values and beliefs in a world where the rules have changed.
And those tests, those choices, are what ultimately define their humanity.
It's like McCarthy is saying that our humanity isn't something we're born with. It's something we have to fight for to earn every single day.
And that fight is never easy. There are moments of despair, of doubt, of questioning whether it's even worth it.
But there are also moments of grace, of connection, of love that transcends the horrors surrounding them.
And those moments, however fleeting, are what keep them going, what give them the strength to carry the fire, even when all hope seems lost.
You know, I think that's one of the most powerful messages of the novel, that even in the darkest of times, there's always a reason to keep fighting, to keep believing in something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. And that belief that faith can sustain us even when the world around us is crumbling.
It's a reminder that we're not alone, that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, there's always the possibility of hope, of connection, of finding meaning in a world that often feels meaningless.
And that search for meaning, that struggle to hold on to hope, is ultimately what defines us as human beings.
It's what makes us who we are, even in a world as bleak as the one McCarthy portrays.
And that brings us to the ending of the novel, which is as haunting as it is ambiguous.
The father dies, leaving the boy alone and vulnerable in this harsh world.
But then in a twist of fate, he's found by another family.
It's a glimmer of hope, but also a source of uncertainty.
We don't know if this family is truly good, if they'll be able to protect the boy and help him survive.
And that ambiguity is what makes the ending so powerful.
It forces us to ask ourselves, what happens next? Does the boy manage to carry the fire? Does he find peace and happiness in this new world? Or is he destined to repeat the cycle of suffering and loss?
Those are questions that McCarthy leaves unanswered, leaving it up to us, the readers, to imagine the possibilities.
And that open-endedness is what makes The Road such a lasting and thought-provoking work of literature.
It stays with you long after you finished reading, prompting you to reflect on your own values, your own choices, and what you would do to carry the fire in a world gone mad.
It's a story that challenges us, haunts us, and ultimately reminds us of the enduring power of hope, even in the face of unimaginable darkness.
You know, one of the most striking things about The Road is the absence of names.
You're right. The father and son are simply referred to as the man and the boy. Even the other characters, like the old man and the thief, are nameless.
It's as if their identities have been stripped away, reduced to their most basic roles in the survivalist world.
And that lack of names creates a sense of universality. It's like their story could be anyone's story, a reminder that we're all vulnerable to the forces that shape our world.
It also makes their bond even more powerful.
Absolutely. Their relationship transcends language, transcends names. It's a primal connection, a testament to the enduring power of love and kinship in a world that has lost almost everything else.
And that connection is what drives them forward, even when all hope seems lost.
It's their reason for being, their reason to carry the fire.
It's like McCarthy's saying that even in a world stripped bare, love can still exist, can still provide meaning and purpose.
And that love, that connection, is what ultimately gives us hope for the future, even in the face of unimaginable darkness.
It's a powerful message and one that resonates deeply, especially in a world that often feels increasingly divided and uncertain.
It reminds us that we're all in this together, that our shared humanity is our greatest strength.
And that even in the darkest of times, there's always a reason to keep fighting, to keep believing in something bigger than ourselves.
McCarthy's The Road is a powerful testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. It's a story about loss, about despair, but also about hope, about love, about the things that make us human even in the face of unimaginable darkness. It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished reading, prompting you to reflect on your own values, your own choices, and what you would do to carry the fire in a world gone mad.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into The Road, let's shift our focus to you, the listener. What resonated most with you from this bleak yet oddly hopeful story? What will you carry away from this journey we've taken through McCarthy's desolate but ultimately human landscape? It's interesting how even with all this talk about darkness and despair, The Road doesn't feel entirely hopeless. There's a persistent undercurrent of, well, if not optimism, then at least a refusal to give in completely.
I think that's what makes it so compelling. It acknowledges the darkness, but it doesn't let it consume the story entirely. There are these moments of grace, of beauty, of connection that pierce through the bleakness.
Like the scene where the father and son discover that untouched grove of apple trees. In that moment, it's almost as if the world itself is offering them a reprieve, a moment of peace and abundance amidst the scarcity.
Yeah, and it's not just the natural world that offers these moments. It's also the human connections they encounter, like the old man on the road, the family that takes in the boy at the end. These fleeting encounters suggest that even in a shattered world, kindness and compassion can still exist.
Those moments are like little embers flickering amidst the ashes. They remind us that even when everything seems lost, there's still something worth fighting for, something worth believing in.
And I think that's ultimately what McCarthy is trying to convey, that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, there's a part of us that refuses to be extinguished. It's that spark of humanity, that fire that we carry within us, that gives us the strength to keep going, to keep hoping for a better future.
It's a powerful message and one that resonates deeply with me. What about you? What will you carry away from this journey we've taken through The Road? What embers will you keep burning?
For me, it's the reminder that our connections to each other, our capacity for love and compassion, are the most essential things we possess. They're what make us human, what give our lives meaning, and what ultimately offer us hope, even in the darkest of times. It's a story that challenges us to confront the darkness within ourselves and the world around us, but also to never lose sight of the light that flickers within each of us, that fire that connects us all.
Beautifully said. And to our listener, we hope this deep dive into The Road has given you some fuel for your own fire. Keep those embers burning.